to Wetpixel Live. My name's Adam Hanlon. I'm the editor of Wetpixel, and we'd like to thank Exit 404. I finally got the pronunciation right. Exit 404 apparently relates to the highway exit that you get to Monterey. So it's called Exit 404. Produce a wide variety of accessories for diving and for underwater photography. Please check them out at www.xit404.com. I'm super pleased to be joined today by our regular contributor, my friend Alex Mustard. Hi, Alex.
Good to see you, Adam.
Nice to see you too. And one of the things that's happened recently is the Natural History Museum has released a preview of some of the finalist images of this year's Wildlife Photography of the Year competition. And as always, obviously, Alex and I keep a great eye on this. It's a competition we both enjoy very much, and we thought it would be interesting to talk about some of the marine-related imagery that's been featured in this preview. And the first image I thought we could talk about is this image by Laurent Ballester. It's called Deep Feelers, and the preamble on the NHM website talks about the fact that it shows that the shrimps are in contact with each other using their feelers, which allows them to effectively develop a network. And obviously, it's a very interesting image. And I think one of the first questions really to ask Alex is I have no idea how he's managed to take it. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I really like the image. I mean, we've talked when we did a review of last year's winners, a word that comes up, I think, regularly in the type of pictures that do well in the underwater category of this competition is they need to have that otherworldly feel. They need to feel like they're from another world. And anything that's kind of got that alien-y, weird world feel to it, I think always does well. So I think this scores well in that level. It's, as you can see, it's it's very eye-catching. There's symmetry in it. There's beautiful detail and color. It's very eye-catching because it's a classic, close focus, wide angle macro type image. And it may be taken with EMWL1, that freshness of look that could produce. I'm pretty sure Lauren would have one of those. It may be taken with another, wide angle macro, fisheye teleconverter mini dome type approach as well. Lauren's been doing amazing work in the Mediterranean, doing deep saturation diving, living at depth and exploring environments that people haven't been to before, down in the, sort of 100-meter plus zone. And as a result, I'm not familiar with these shrimps or how big they are. So that makes it quite hard. The black corals that they're living on, there's some Amphius in the background as well. You can't really judge, but the shrimp look quite, this sort of size. So maybe it is, but yeah, definitely mini dome or EMWL1 to get that, get this sort of immersed in the middle of it all effect.
So just reading from the camera exif in Photomechanic, which is where I've opened the image up,
Okay.
it's saying it's a Nikon D5 full frame camera.
The lens. Yeah.
And the focal length it gives here is 30mm, which doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't look like an image taken with a 30mm lens.
No. What does the EXIF tell you what actual lens it is?
No, I'll hang on. I'll jump over into Photoshop and see what Photoshop's got to say. Oh yeah, okay. So
this is
so
proper
this is
investigation.
yeah, here we are. This is like investigative journalism. So that's interesting because again, still obviously Nikon D5 that hasn't changed, but the lens he was using was a 15mm f2.8, which to me would suggest it's probably the Sigma. I think that's the only 15mm f2.8.
Yeah. So it's Sigma fisheye. And then,
but
I guess a 2x teleconverter would get you to 30mm, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So this 2x teleconverter, or a 1.5, and then maybe shooting the camera in DX mode would probably get you to 30mm as well.
God, that's a complicated
way to do it. You can get there two ways. I would say fisheye. So fisheye, 2x teleconverter, and mini dome.
So effectively, what he's done is he's used the fisheye, obviously with lots of barrel distortion, which is given us this very eye popping center shrimp, but then reduced the barrel distortion around the outside of the frame by using teleconverter. Is that what you're thinking, Alex? Is
Yeah,
that
well, it'll tighten the view up. It
yeah,
also pushes the lens further out from the camera, which makes the lighting easier. It's one of the
yeah,
reasons why the EMWL is nice to use, because it gets the front element out from the lens. And
yeah,
then CCAM make that really small mini
yes,
dome.
yeah, they
So
do,
I'd imagine he's also had to shave the shades off his
yeah,
Sigma fisheye, like you did with your one, which
yeah,
we swapped and I've actually now have,
yeah,
to make it work with that mini dome. So
yeah,
yeah, it shows that. I think what impresses me though, if you're going on a really deep dive like this, and then you're taking a really extreme camera setup to get a really unique picture, and I think that's something that I think comes up quite a lot in these type of competition shots. Is it's not someone doing the ordinary that gets the winning picture. It's
yeah,
someone going somewhere really extreme and then using a really extreme camera setup to create, an eye-catching image.
yeah,
And now none of that is obvious to the judges. They're
no,
just responding to the image. But
yeah.
actually, it's that effort to do something fresh and different that has actually paid off in creating the winning image. So
Yeah,
I really love the weirdness of it. I love the antenna. It works very well. I think just the density of the shrimps looks really, really cool.
and
Um,
if it has been taken while Lauren's been on his saturation expedition, which we don't actually know, but again, that really does, that he's using saturation diving techniques to capture this. That's pretty extreme in terms of access to your
it's
subject.
definitely deep water, though. I mean, I would say the shallowest
Black
it's
corals.
taken is probably 60 meters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, Against the
yeah.
deep blue of open water, the feathery black coral. Yeah, not sure, but yeah, really, really cool. Really, I really like the shot.
Yeah,
It's it feels very typical wildlife photographer as well type shot.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it works really well for works very well for me. Um, I also thought his photo last year, which was I think was the behavior shot with the spawning tangs. I think that was also one of the strongest ones in last year's competition. So it's good to see him. It's good to see him entering regularly,
Yeah,
and it's good to see him doing well regularly, because I mean
yeah.
he is, without doubt, one of the great underwater photographers, and has been for, you know 15, 20 years. And then the other sort of marine related picture that I think we should talk about as well is taken by Alden Ricardson,
Mm,
and it's called Net Loss, which is a very powerful image showing overfishing.
mm.
And I think it's one of those topics that's quite hard to illustrate in graphic shots.
Yeah, very
You know,
much so. Yeah.
you can show bycatch, particularly of big animals caught in nets, very well,
Mm,
but overfishing, it tends to go on. All industrial fishing goes on out of sight of most of us.
yeah,
So images like this, I think, are really important. It's a camera where most people would never see.
yeah.
And if there was no camera to record this, these herring, which I presume they're herring, have been dumped,
Well,
and no one would have ever seen this. They would have dumped, they would have rotted, they would have sunk into the sea, and no one would have ever witnessed this. So
just as
yeah, it was
reading.
and it was this is from the new category, which is
Mm,
called Oceans: A Bigger Picture,
mm,
which is about celebrating the environment and environmental issues, positive and negative, about the oceans and marine habitat. So yeah,
so,
I think a lot of us are really interested to see what pictures end up awarded in that category,
mm,
because as underwater photographers we think, oh, we've got a new category we can enter,
mm.
but actually quite, the first year of a new category, no one's quite sure what it is. So it's really interesting to get an insight that definitely there's a strong environmental image, at least in that category, and what else will be awarded will be really interesting.
It's interesting that on the NHM website they talk about the backstory behind it is that the photo was actually was used as evidence, and it resulted in a prosecution and a fine for the owner of the vessel that created it. And the bycatch was because they caught too many fish, and when they winched the net in, the net actually broke. But the animals had suffocated and been crushed by the weight of the net.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So quite heartbreaking, really.
Mm,
But I mean, I guess the good side is that it was actually used to, and there was a sanction against the crew or the boat for bycatch, which unfortunately I think is all too rarely the case.
mm.
Yeah.
And Alden, like Laura, has had a lot of success in this competition in the past,
Mm,
um, with both underwater and above water pictures. His
mm,
well-known shots of orcas in Norway and humpbacks in Norway underwater,
mm,
and also freshwater photography with trout. And he did that very well-known picture of the trout in the river with
mm,
aurora in the sky above, and
mm,
interesting images like that. And then some fantastic topside photography as well,
mm,
all in sort of northern Norway from Svalbard and down around Tromsø where he lives. So
mm.
yeah, really, yeah, I think it's a very powerful image of a scene that I think would otherwise go unrecorded. I really like the shot. I think both those shots are very strong. So
So Alex, when is the full collection announced? When what's going
I'm
on
scrolling up the page to read it all out. It says, um,
Fantastic.
it said, what did it say? The latest competition received record-breaking number of entries, which is good in these times,
Yeah,
from
it is.
professional and amateur photographers from 95 countries around the world. The winning images, along with two grand title winners, will be announced during the virtual awards ceremony, broadcast live, so it's an online ceremony, from the museum's famous Hints Hall. So everyone who works in the museum knows that the main hall of the museum, which used to have the dinosaur in and now has Hope, the blue whale, in, is called the Hints Hall. No one else in the world knows it's called the Hints Hall,
Right.
but they
So
always call it that.
it's the one with the whale in that used to have the
It is.
dinosaur. That
It's,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
they used to have the Diplodocus in. The Diplodocus skeleton in. On the evening of Tuesday, the 12th of October, 2021.
So
So
it's not that far off. Everyone can tune in. I tuned into the virtual ceremony last time. I thought it was great actually. So you can tune in 12th of October and have a feast on underwater imagery and obviously it's not just underwater but wildlife imagery as well. It's a great event actually. And the advantage of virtual is we all get to see it, which is a pro, I guess.
and you can put your feet up on the sofa and
Yeah,
and mute it if you don't agree with what a photographer's saying.
yeah. You could throw things at the telly and everything.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Alex, very much. And um, once again, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Exit 404. We can't make these episodes without support, so we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you all for watching. Please feel free to add comments. We will be featuring the full competition on Wetpixel Live when the results are announced. But feel free to add any comments, suggestions, likes, so on and so forth. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you very much.